Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited part 3, last episode of the Terry Michler Teams of OLE. And Terry, it's been a blast, baby. I can't wait for all you got. I mean, you really took, you did your homework. You wrote down the notes and ba ba boom, ba ba bang. And as a special public service announcement, if you or anybody you know was up at Jeff City and might have bought a Powerball ticket, hey, you might have a winner.
Is that where the winning ticket came from?
That's my understanding. Now, I could
Wow.
be wrong.
Wow.
Yeah, it was in Missouri, and I paid a close attention that if it was my joint, but they said no, it was something up in Jeff City that was, yeah,
Wow.
because I mean to tell you, wow. I mean, I've done a lot of things and lost a lot of but man, if I would have lost a Powerball ticket.
Yeah. No coming back from that one.
Oh,
No.
wow. Oh, man. But I tell you, it's been a blast, baby. It's been a blast going over this. And I don't even know how we got to this point that, to even ask you about it, other than, I guess it was the celebration that we had about all your teams in the booklet that Steve Gallagher brought up. It was quite interesting. And I think that there was people, the Whale Nation came, well, you got to get them to get a little bit more detail. That book is unbelievable, And I would think that Steve Gallagher Printing, if that's what it's called, that he would have like a microfilm or something to be able to put, somebody wanted that,
I still got a few extra books.
All right.
So if that's the case, we can accommodate people.
Right. Because I mean to tell you, I got one from a buddy of ours, and he's awaiting it like a Christmas present. This is yeah, and he's gonna once I give it to him, he's gonna be like, oh my, this is like Christmas, and I was supposed to give him. It was in July, but early Christmas. I may give it to him on Christmas.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyway, we're here.
Hey, maybe you can put that out on Facebook like you do everything else. And it's available. No, there are copies available because, it's almost impossible to try to summarize 52 years of any kind of activity. And when you've got, all the different people involved over the years, players, coaches, supporters, I mean, it gets to be off the charts, right?
Yeah, man.
So, I took that night that we had the celebration and I coined that one as celebrate success. And that's pretty much what I focused on that night was I didn't want to slight any of the teams, but I also didn't want to slight the teams that did the most.
Yeah.
So I tried to focus on representing all the teams as best I could, but give special attention to the ones that deserved more for winning.
Yeah.
So, every team's goal, and every team had the same opportunity, as we know, but there are a lot of things that happen during the course of the season that can affect the outcome, good or bad. And some teams probably wish they had their season over again and might have thought about things differently and done differently. And other teams can look back and say, no, take it just the way it was. It may not have been the best, but it was the best that we could do. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
They were the best. It was the best they could do, and it was the best.
Yes, right.
The ones that might have some regret, and there's obviously always those teams when you have that many of them. There's always some that would like to have a do-over, but you tell the kids up front, you don't get a do-over. This is it.
Yeah,
You want,
man.
especially if you're a senior. If you're a senior, you only got one. That's your last shot at it. So
Last.
if
Yeah.
it don't work out for you, you had a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Dr. Chuck Skrumsky about that, about when you don't get a do or this is it, the finality of it all, that you, through injury or through whatever circumstance, there is no more.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? How do you get through that? I guess it's the total grieving process of everything. I don't know, but I know this, man. There's a couple. I mean, my 3 seasons at CBC, varsity, I've never forgotten it. I played those old tapes. I mean, I've even colorized the black and white film.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's just amazing, and I would love to be, in a space to where I would say, okay, does anybody remember this? And I would say what my recollection was, and to see how many people agreed with me or say, no, no, that's not how it happened.
Yeah. 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 Well, a lot of years in between now, and you can have some faults in the memories.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm very, very grateful and very thankful that you were my coach and that we became assistants on the coaching staff together and now friends.
Yeah.
So that's quite something.
Yep. That's part of the deal. I think just make connections and keep them fortunately as long as you can. So that's what's good. That's what's good about it.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot. I mean, it's not unique just to us. It's just the nature of sports. You get that invested with common activity and find people that enjoy it to the same extent you do and want to stay a part of it. Just kind of a natural evolution.
There you go. Well, here we are. If you ever wanted to tee off, this is the whale bringing the ball over, putting it on the tee. It's 2010. We're starting with 2010 and working our way off the tee, going down the fairway onto the green to the. It's longer than a 3-hole, so there's no hole in one on this thing.
Yeah, some of the shots might be in the woods on this one too.
I hear you. We'll work that out.
A little off center.
Yeah, that'll be reflected in the scores.
So here we go, starting with 2010. But before we start with 2010, we have to get caught up to 2010.
All right, then.
This is the third segment, and there's been some time between segment 2 and 3, and most everybody probably doesn't have a good connection or remembrance of section 2. Some of you may not have even heard it yet. So here we go. So we started in each decade. What I tried to do when we had our celebration night was to break down the career into decades. So we had the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and then the shortened 2020 period. So all those different decades represented, they all had a theme. In the 70s was probably the more interesting decade because there was so much of a transition that was going on at that time in society in general and in CBC in particular. And so what I mean by that is that the Vietnam era was in the 60s and 70s, and that was a huge social condition that had a lot of ramifications. The country was really, really divided because of it. And CBC being a JROTC school during that time, was and probably didn't do it any good being a JRTC school during the Vietnam conflict era with so much disagreeing political views at that time. So my first year in 72 uh, followed a year that was 39-2. So I had a lot of guys that were on that team and knew what it was about and knew how to win. And we went 25-4-3, which was good by most standards, but really paled compared to 39-2. But anyway, so we get started with a good year, and then each year after that, it seemed to go the wrong way. Following year went to 12-8-4, which was a tough luck team. It's an interesting team because we had probably more players off of that team that ended up having collegiate and professional careers, but we couldn't get past the 1-goal games, and we won some and lost them, but they were all pretty much 1-goal games. And then we had an era where the next couple, 3 or 4 years, school enrollment was decreasing considerably and rapidly, and then when you lose enrollment over total enrollment, you lose enrollment in everything, sports included. So quantity and quality was dropping off a little bit. And at the end of the era, at the end of the 70s, we managed to win district championship for the first time in my era in 1978 and followed up in 1979. So we started and ended the decade in good form. Just had some years in between where different situations that were out of our control had an effect on what we were doing. So we got through that. And in the 80s, we started off 80 and 81. We were in the final game, lost both of them to Vianney. 83, 84, we bounced back with championship victories in the final game. 85, we're back in the final, 17 seconds to go to win the game, and got tied up and lost in overtime. Very unfortunate circumstance. And then in 88, we won the title again. So in the 80s, we were in the final 6 times. So that's quite a step up from what we were doing in the 70s. In the 90s was the hard luck period. We had probably some of the best record-wise and some of the best players individually that we may have had over my entire career. And we had 3 finalists, but none of them won. We had a third-place team. So we got 4 teams got to 3 in the final and 1 in the final 4 in the 90s. And then 2000 rolled around, turn of the century, and we just finished the decade of 2000, 2009. We won championships in 04, 05, and 09. So we had three championship wins in the 2000s. 2003 was the first year that we run the Town and Country campus after having, been at Clayton Road campus forever. And we transitioned out to Town and Country, new school, brand new facility, turf field, not the grass that we had at Clayton Road. A lot of adjustments, but 2003 was the first year there. And 2004 and 5 we won state championships. So we seem to adapt quite well. And unlike the 70s when we were decreasing enrollment because of the new school and the transition we made through the 80s where we stabilized, our enrollment was off the charts. Probably the highest enrollment period that we had during my career there, that's for sure, I would say. Brand new school, a lot of interest, a lot of attention. A lot of people want to be part of something new like that. So the 80s were good, or the 2000s were good. We finished in 2009 with a state championship, and my experience tells me that it's unusual. Really, it really is. It's more unusual than that to go back to back and win back and forth, back to back. We did that in 83 and 84, and we did it in 04 and 05. But more often than not, it's not going to happen. So after we win in 09, we go with 2010. Had a respectable season at 20 wins. 28-2 was the record. 20 wins, 8 losses. They won district and they won MCC, and that was that was following a year where a number of these guys were on the championship team. We had Matt Clarkin and A.J. Cochran and Kyle Malley, Mike Lee, Justin Billiard, Jake Bond, Nate Griffin, Corey Nolte. Those were some of the stalwarts in that team. They had a good year, but didn't end up as successful as they did a year before. Then the next year, 2011, we had a team that went 16-7-1 and did not win a district. Did win the MCC, which is always a significant accomplishment. And we had some juniors on the team, starting with Giovanni Dokai and Nate the Great Griffin. Those were two of the significant junior. Joe Corbett was with them, and they ended up 16-7-1 MCC champs, but fell a little bit short otherwise. In 2012, when a lot of those juniors, Giovanni and Nate and others, and Joe Corbett and others, moved up to their senior year, the state tournament that year was taken out of St. Louis, which was the first time in my career that happened. And we played in Blue Springs, Missouri, which is just outside of Kansas City. And we traveled, stayed over. The team was 25 wins, 5 losses, and a tie, and state champions. So we went from 2009 to 2012, winning the championships again. Took a couple of years off there, but we managed to get back. And that team won the Gateway Classic tournament, which was always a challenging tournament. It brings teams in from across the country. And, we played teams from New York and California and everywhere in between. And that's a big accomplishment. They also won the CBC tournament, district tournament, state tournament. And like I said, it was the first time the tournament was played outside of St. Louis. In the semifinal game, we actually played Rockhurst, which almost were like in their backyard. And you would think that their student support would have been overwhelming, but it was good. But the reality and the truth is, we had more students attend the game than they did. We had 3 busloads of kids come up from St. Louis for the game, which was really, really cool. And we played a really strong game against a good team, and we came out on top of that game. And then that put us in the final, and we were going to play Chaminade. And Chaminade arguably was the best team in the area and probably the best team in the state that year. And I think it'd be hard-pressed to find anybody that would disagree with that. So, we knew we had our work cut out for us having to play Chaminade. But our theme that year, and I try to have a theme every year, our theme that year was to be the best of the rest, given that Chaminade would have been the best. If we can be the best of the rest, that's a good accomplishment. And then the second part of the theme was, and if we play the best, after we beat the rest, play the best, and then beat them. So that was the goal, two-part goal. Be the best of the rest, and if we play the best, beat them. Well, we got the chance to do that in Blue Springs, and we managed to beat Chaminade in the final. It was a great game because we got up at halftime by 2 goals. So, in second half, it was a strategy a lot different than the first half. First half, we're playing to win. Second half, we're playing to win, but in a different way. First half, we're 0-0. We need goals. Second half, we got 2-0. We got 2 goals in the bank. So, we're playing not to give up those 2 goals. That's for sure. So, a different strategy. And we knew exactly how Chaminade was going to play because, they've got the Scott Gallagher mentality because they got a lot of Gallagher players. We've got our share and they got their share. So we knew they were going to try and keep the ball and pass it, which is their trademark. So we played low pressure, and we kind of allowed them to make their passes in front of us. Told the kids, just don't let them pass through you. As long as you keep the ball in front of you, they can pass all they want. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll even count their passes if that'll help. But don't let them make any passes through you. And we did a good job of that. Did a real good job. Managed to keep our shutout in the second half, won the game 2-0. That was a big accomplishment there. It was a happy ride home, too, I tell you.
Yeah.
Next 2 years, 2013, 2014, we were kind of an unusual CBC team. We struggled to find a good chemistry. Close games kind of didn't go our way. And the 2013 team finished 13, 11, and 5, but won a district, but didn't do much. The last loss in the first game after district. So that was kind of a disappointment. But again, you got the letdown after winning in 12, come back in 13 and have a little bit of a letdown. Unfortunately, though, in 14, we matched the same number of wins, 13. We were one less in losses, 10. So we went from 13, 11, and 5 in 2013 to 13, 10, and 3 in 2014. And the 14 team did not win a championship. At least the 13 team won a district. So those were a couple of years that we kind of lost our footing a little bit and had to find a way back. So in 2015, we start to find our way back. We win 23 games. And that was the team that A.J. Palazzola was a part of that team. Actually, he was more than a part of the team. He was a National Gatorade Player of the Year that year and an All-American. So he was way more than just a part of the team. Johnny Huber was our goalie. Sam Leach, Max Steffen, Ryan Gertison, Jack Edwards, Nolan DeWeese, Simon Larson. We had an international player in our mix that year. Simon Larson came over from Norway and had a host family situation where he stayed with one of our student athletes, and it brought an extra dimension to the team. I mean, we don't usually have true international players. We might have kids that at some point in their lives came from out of the country, but this guy was here just for the school year and back, so that was cool. Brian Hennessy was another member of that team. So that was a good team. They had 9 seniors on it. I had 2 wins against Chaminade. We had a nice 4-0 win against Blue High, but fell just a little short in the postseason. But like I said, they bounced back with 23 wins, so that was a good recovery. In 2016, we're back on top again. From 2012 to 2016, it took a few years to get there. But 2016 wins the state championship. Their record was 24-6-2. And they also won that prestigious Gateway Classic tournament. Look at that. That was really a neat experience to be able to play teams that you had never seen before. Really didn't know how to prepare for them, other than just to prepare your own game as best you could. And then be ready to be adaptable when the game rolled around, so that you were in position to make the necessary changes that you had to make.
I just talked to him about the tater tot.
So anyway, we managed to survive, get back up on top. 2017, we go 22-6-2, and hold on, let me go back to 2016. I got distracted for a second. 2016, we played Rockhurst final, as we did in 2004. Rockhurst had an All-American player in the midfield that was really, really a special player. And I'm going to give a shout out here because this deserves it. We had a young sophomore, Kurt Miller, that year that was a very useful player. I mean, he played regularly in the backfield as an outside back. But in that game, I needed something special in the middle of the field, and his role was to mark that All-American player. And boy, every time that All-American took a step, Kurt was right there with him like a shadow. And you could see during different moments in the game where that Rockers kid kept looking at Kurt and kind of saying, "Why don't you just go get lost for a while? Let me play a little bit without you being in my shadow, my footsteps." Kurt did a great job in that game. I mean, it made a difference in the game. And that was a game where we were behind. I mean, Rockers scored first, and we had to play catch up. And we didn't get caught up until real late in the game on a free kick just outside the box. And Bryce Starzik took the kick, simply rolled it over to Connor Lanero, who, from where he was, finished the deal with a nice shot on goal off the free kick restart. So we get back in the game late, goes to overtime, and overtime goes to penalty kicks, and we get to the last kick, actually the kick, and Lanero steps up again, and after Cam Meyer made a nice save in the regulation series of penalty kicks to keep us in it and allow us to be even after the first round and go into sudden death and give us a chance to win it. Lanero steps up and puts the ball in the goal, and we win. It was a great picture afterwards of those two where Connor jumped into Cam's lap. And, they're facing the camera. It's really a great picture. Connor's got his arm up, celebrating. Cam's got a big smile on his face, hugging Connor. It was really a great moment.
Yeah.
That was 2016. Full house at the soccer park, as to be expected. Beautiful Saturday afternoon, and we got the result that we needed. 2017 comes the year after again. We go 22-6-2, and we finished third place. So we're right back in the hunt again, which was great. Won the MCC in one district, finished third place. Nick Dempster, Nolan DeWeese, Jack Edwards, Nate Tim, Reese McKell, Dave Fitzgerald was the goalie that year, Sam Benoist, Damian Klukas, Seth Kasich, Kurt Miller was back again that year as a junior that year now. Great team. Had a nice season and a good finish. Unfortunately, we didn't win the championship, but we did get to the semifinal and ended up playing in the third place game and won that. 2018, we bounced back with the state championship again.
Yep.
So we got 12, 16, and 18 state championships in the teen years there. And this team went 25-2-2. Won the MCC, one district, one state. Dave Fitzgerald, Nate Tim, Kurt Miller, they're all seniors that year. Sam Benoist, Julian Bennett, Nolan DeWeese, Henry Etzel, he was in that team. He was a great player for us. Seth Kasich. Seth Tinkham is the man of the match that time. We're playing DeSmet in the final, and it's 0-0 late in the game. Again, we get a free kick. Oh, not a free kick. I'm sorry. We get a shot in, and a rebound comes back outside the box. Seth Tinkham meets it with his left foot, puts it in the upper corner, and that's game decider right there. We ends up 1-0. CBC beats DeSmet on Seth Tinkham's goal. And Seth didn't score many goals during the year, but he was a very, very solid player for us in the midfield. was a kid that came back from the academy to play his senior year and did a great job with us. Cam Starzik did the same thing, came back his senior year to play with us, did a great job also. It was the same year, 2018, where the CBC soccer program was inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. First high school soccer team to do that. So once again, it's CBC first. First to get recognized, have their accomplishments step up and put them in a position that nobody else was able to achieve. So full credit. That was a neat event too, because the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame honored all the former players that came to the function, and everybody that was a player got a personal plaque saying with their name and a statement that's saying that they were inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame as a CBC soccer player, which was really, really special, really special. The 2018 team was really, I think, one of the strong points, a couple of the strong points were great leadership above and beyond everything else, but tremendous chemistry. That was a team of guys that really, really did more than just got along. They really liked each other, and they did everything for each other. There were no heroes, no special guys, other than the fact that everybody was special, and everybody was good about that. It was really a team that just bought in. I mean, that's a huge thing. I've always said, chemistry, buy-in, and luck are the three most important ingredients that you need to build a successful team. All things being equal, chemistry, a buy-in, and luck have to work in your favor. And it did for that group. 2019, we went 16 and 18, we win. 17, we're close. 19 is a little bit of a drop-off. We went to 14 and 11 and 2. The team won district. That was the year, though, that we did accomplish the 1,000 wins in a game in Jeff City on a rainy Saturday. We beat Nixa from Springfield 3-0, and Luca Bartoni got the hat trick. Luca had 3 unanswered goals to wrap up the win for us and 1,000 wins over my career. So that was pretty special. That was a special day. And it was good for that group because they had some tough luck otherwise during the year. But they managed to put it together at that moment, and get that accomplishment. So that team will always go down in history because they're the only team. They're the first and only team to close out the 1,000 win campaign. So good for them. 2020 was the COVID year. And most everything shut down for COVID. I was shut down. I had a non-COVID situation, but it was a situation where I was told by the doctor that I should not be available to participate and coach. I think the team only played a handful of games that year. It was a really disjointed year because the COVID was kind of a thing that was mostly always there, but sometimes it was there in worse conditions than others. So that there was constant shutdown. Schools were shut down. Everything was shut down for periods of time, on and off. So that was almost like a non-existent year. 2021, I came back. We had a team that won 18-6-1, but no championships that year. It was kind of a transition period where the success of the previous decade was right now is a little bit out of reach. But as I say that, 2022 restored that. So we went in 18. 19 was not championship caliber. 20 was COVID, and 21 was recovering from COVID. And I don't think you can underestimate what that really means, because COVID had such an incredible impact on the world. And to recover and to rebound and bounce back, it's going to take some time. So 2022, we had a little bit of time, and we managed to get back into the final game. We lost to a really strong Rockhurst team on a late penalty kick. We had our chances as always, but at the end we came up 1 goal short. We lost 1-0. That particular Rockhurst team was the first of 3 that went back to back, won 3 consecutive state championships. And the third year of it, they were undefeated. They finished number 1 in the country. So that team did a really nice job of putting it together and giving it a run, giving a good run for the money. That was a team led by Sam Villa and J.D. Brewster, and Dominic Bartoni was part of that. Evan Hill, Macaroni, among others. Donovan Tabb was in that group. Good group. 2023 was the year that I was completely out of commission. That was my year I was hospitalized, and I had my left leg amputated. So that was a wash for me. I followed a little bit from afar. I was in and out of medical care for the whole year. 2024 was my last year, actually. And it was a team that really struggled to find a way. Finished with a 14-12-1 record. And we did manage to win our pool in the first year of the Champions League. And we got into the semifinal round. of the Champions League, and met a St. Dominic's team that ended up having their way with us on a particular night, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's the way it was. So so that was kind of a way that the whole thing came to an end. Was with the 2014 with a record of 14-12-1. And like I said, there's the only championship was winning a pool play in the Champions League. So we just kind of finished up the career now. So in looking in hindsight, we got part A and part B, part 1, part 2, Clayton Road part, and then the Town and Country part. And there were more years in the Clayton Road era from 1971-72 through 2002. The first season in Town and Country was the season of 2003. So school year wise, we went 71-72 through 2001, 2002, 2003. And then the 2003 school year with 2004 was the first Clayton Road campus. So we got 31 years at one place and 22 at the other place, something like that. 2003 to 25, yeah, 22. Of those 22, though, 2 of them I didn't coach. So yeah, I was wondering when we made the switch how it would go. Now that we've gone through it, I'd say it went pretty well. Went pretty well.
Yeah.
So still lots and lots of stories. The Clayton Road years were really, really special because of a lot of different reasons. But the atmosphere was long ago established at Clayton Road. At Town and Country, it was a blank slate. There was nothing created. Nothing was there. There was no history. So we were making the history as we went. Every day was another page in the history book for the Town and Country campus. Where the Clayton Road campus, there were volumes already recorded there. We just had to be part of what was already presented before us. And I think overall, all things considered, I think we did a nice job. I know people were expecting everything right away, but things changed beyond our control in the 70s. But in the 80s, we picked it back up and had a good run in the 80s and 90s. And then in 2000s, we go out to Town and Country and did quite well. So I think that would be probably the best way to summarize the whole experience was part 1 and part 2, Clayton Road campus and Town and Country campus. And so one of my goals in this celebration night was to try and bring both of those eras together because whatever era you were in, whatever decade you played in, whatever year you were all of you had one thing in common. Every one of the players had the same thing in common. On the front of their shirt, it said CBC. And that was a unifying bond. That was my goal in the celebration night, was to try to bring all that together and for the Town and Country players to know and understand and appreciate Clayton Road people, and the Clayton Road people do the same with the Town and Country people. It was 2 separate eras, but it was one continuous story. And so I was trying to tell that story and unite those 2 elements. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
We got you. If nothing happened, Murphy's Law, we'll have it on documentation that this is what you said. So here we go. This is what everybody wants me to do for you. Way to go, Terry. Way to go, Coach.
I need to. Well, you always usually give the interviewee the moments to themselves to talk about it a little bit. So I'm going to jump the gun a little bit because I have to say that I could not have asked for a better career. I went to CBC as a student from 1961 to 1965. And at some point during that time, I decided that I wanted to come back and be the CBC coach. That was going to be my life goal, my life ambition, right? And as I said previously, I had a couple of situations that came up that could have interfered with that. First of all, the eighth grade nun told me I shouldn't even go. I should consider CBC because I was actually thinking about St. Louis UI, so that was a plus. Then I had in my senior year in college, I had the military draft, the lottery draft, and my number was one that I was going to be called to service. But I was fortunate to be able to get into a reserve unit, which allowed me to continue with my coaching and teaching. So that was a break. And then the other aspect was I had signed with the Kansas City Spurs and turned CBC down on the first call that they made to me because I had just signed with Kansas City to play soccer. And unfortunately, we called again, and the Spurs had then they had discontinued. They folded in Kansas City. So I was without a team, and now I've got CBC calling on the phone, and I couldn't have been happier to say yes. But boy, it sure took a lot out of me to tell them no the first time, I'll tell you that. So considering all that, and then considering the 52 teams that I had and all the wonderful memories and associations with the players, putting teams together, trying to solve problems as they came up, and celebrating the wins and agonizing over the losses. I couldn't ask for more. Honestly, I could not ask for more. I've been blessed, and I want to thank all the players for allowing me to be part of their experience.
Right on, man. Right on. My big thing nowadays is that the word history, that the last 5 letters of history is story. And you always have the story,
Well, the first 3 letters are his. So if you double up, you got his story.
Oh!
It's always somebody's story.
Oh!
His story.
Yeah, dude, it's right in front of me. Thanks for pointing it out.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for, partner. I'm here for that. Ready to take you that extra step.
Wow, man. I mean, so many stories, and it's just, if you see me, I'll tell you. But I don't think there really needs to be anything other said than what you said. It was like, wow, man. And on to the new. The Whales Certified Podcast is still looking for a producer, and I'll be reaching out for sponsorships. So if you feel you see the whale coming,
Don't way, right? Don't run the other way.
Yeah. So that's all my story, and I just had a blast, and we're getting into that Champions League, that high school Champions League. So it's not the last time that you and I won't be having an episode. We'll be talking about that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that, and I tell you, shout out to the Gatesworth. I mean, I seen you on day 1 there, and seen you now, and man, the Gatesworth is where it's at, baby.
Yeah, I can't complain about that either. I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be right now, so that's good.
Yeah, right, yeah. And we got the Boom Boom Studios in downtown Holly Hills, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season. and we got
Hey,
it.
can I elaborate a little bit on the Champions League for a minute while we got time?
Please do.
Okay. So St. Louis started the Champions League, high school Champions League participation in 2024. This year, 2025, is now the second year that we're involved with it. We got on board through the group in Tampa Bay that had been doing it in progress since 2017, 2018. I think this is going to be their eighth year. So it probably would be 2017. And Jim Hart and Perry Vanderbeck and John Walsh and David,
Wilson.
David Wilson. There you go. Those were the key movers and shakers. And they invited us to consider joining their movement. So now we have a total of 4 cities involved, 3 in Florida and 1 in St. Louis. We've got 6 that are on the verge of joining next season, 2026. And we've got another 12 that are in the serious consideration stages. So we're approaching, we're up to and over right around 20 different cities that are giving serious consideration. And that number grows almost every day. Somebody somewhere hears about it. They want to know more about it. And so Jim Hart and I have kind of become the spokespeople for the movement. And I put together a short little PowerPoint that can introduce people to the concept and the movement and what this Champions League, high school Champions League, is all about. Why we're doing it, what they can expect from it, and all that good stuff. So we're trying to get this to be a national movement. It's not a competition, but it's a concept. What we're trying to do is present to different areas of the country the concept of the Champions League in the hopes of improving raising the interest of high school soccer and giving high school soccer something special. With the advent of all the academies that we have out there now and the MLS Next program stuff, I think it's fair to say that high school soccer has suffered a little bit in terms of notoriety and interest. And this has become a boost to where we have to recoup some of that and put ourselves back on the map. The wonderful thing about high school soccer is it's high school, and everybody goes to high school. And at the end of the day, most people have lifelong memories that they take from high school. And in many cases, if you're an athlete, you've got a lot of sporting memories that you take. So, years to come when you get together for class reunions, it's very common to talk about, the big games in your time against the rivals or whoever. And you don't get that if you're not doing the high school thing. So there's so much value in what high school is all about. And high school sports are definitely a contributing factor to that. So we feel really, really good about what we're trying to do with the movement and try and give more cities and more schools an opportunity to participate. And like I said, it's more of a concept idea than a competition idea. Although, like in Florida, they have Tampa Bay and they have Polk County and they have the southern area in Miami, I believe it is. Now they're talking about doing an I-95 competition championship. In Missouri, Kansas City is one of the areas that are seriously considering it. So St. Louis and Kansas City could have an I-70 competition. So in that regard, yeah, there's some competition. But in terms of a national picture, I don't know that we're thinking of any kind of a national competition, but the concept is to go national. So I wanted to explain that and make sure everybody was clear on that. So Because I know these broadcasts go far and wide, Kevin. So we're talking to people pretty much outside of the St. Louis area that might be listening to this now. So if you've got an area that you want to promote high school soccer in, consider the Champions League and get in contact with myself or Jim Hart, and we're glad to fill you in. Thanks, Kevin.
Right on, man. Right on. I can't help but to say that Japan just recently had the national where they had the final with 70,000 people in a stadium for the final high school final.
That's amazing. That's totally, their whole system is so different, but high school soccer in Japan is huge.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely off the charts huge.
Yeah. And so, I have had just amazing memories, and that they recycle, man. They, so that's the beautiful thing. You can live your whole life. His story is a beautiful story to be told. And at Wales Certified, it's waiting to be broadcast,
Yep.
Yeah. So, without further ado, I don't have the down on paper about Jack Buck, but could you help me out, Terry?
All right. Here we go.
All right.
Thanks for your time this time.
Till the next time.
It's been a fine time. Quote Jack Buck.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks for your time this time. Until next time, it's been a fine time.
Right on. All right, Terry. I'll talk to you later.
Closing statement. Tape recorder you had and have it available. That's a good closing statement.
What is that, Jack Buck's thing?
Yeah, it's a good closing statement.
Oh, yeah. I got to have some rehearsal time, a lot of showers, but I'll be able to get it together.
There you go.
I mean, I got virtuoso down,
Absolutely. No, you can do it. You can. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it, man.
All right, then. Bye-bye, man.
Yeah, bye.